visual aid.
Oh, my God.
You sure are. There you go. It's good.
There they got rid of it.
Doesn't that look like dying tar? Oh, what? This very old woman looks so much like mine. That's
Yes.
but you know the full thing.
I saw, yeah, she does look like that.
Did you see
What's the name of this festival?
That's true.
when they saw the big picture? You should see it. So right. Yes, I can.
It's okay. You got me out of the house. Yeah. I'm starting to become too much of a homebody. Because I'm getting very like I was just saying, I'm not sure what you have to see if they can. No, I'm getting lazy. So you just gotta push your button. To wash your water.
I've got it. Look at this restaurant.
Oh, I heard of a restaurant that's supposed to be very good.
Have you ever eaten in Alabama? Lovely. Woman said she went there, it's amazing food.
It was okay.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Would you like this?
It's what?
Oh no, the Dodgers are winning.
It's in West Hollywood, right?
So I'm definitely looking it up.
Yes, I've been there. I've been there. It was okay.
You know, I've even gone and blank to Shamshiri.
Oh my
I really
God.
like it. I like that restaurant.
I like Shamshiri.
So I'll go anytime you want.
Should I call Myra, see if she wants to go?
Tomorrow, actually, I'm going to Danny. Thursday, one of these is friends, and you're talking to me.
It's 138 South Beverly Drive. It's some lovely place.
Beverly Drive, what's the name of it?
Annabelle.
It's not here, a little deeper. It's been a little Not really.
Indian restaurant?
Well, Mondays, weekends are the busiest, and Mondays the next.
Yeah, I mean, I can always find something. I like tandoori chicken.
Yeah.
I'll eat that. I don't like mushy, saucy, spicy, herby stuff. I like more plain, but I like tandoori.
Why doesn't Ellen want to? He thinks that the food is better quality. You're talking about Jaipur. I don't like Jaipur.
Here is eating.
No, I've got water. You're such a lovely
Are
man.
you sure? One hour bottle.
Yeah. No, and he doesn't like, but he thinks the attitude, that's not the attitude, it's one of these things.
Well, I agree.
Where, is that?
Just
But
say
Jaipur?
that. Yeah.
Alan doesn't like the attitude, right?
It's like most,
They're very sweet to us in Rose. Very.
strange.
An old man, you know, he's
He
getting.
likes what's familiar. I understand it. I understand it.
Yeah, I understand too.
I just don't understand how you can enjoy staying home.
He's got television, he's got all these lights and chips, champagne, his glass with a big straw. Wine. Oh. That looks like a safe there.
Nancy's coming in this weekend because she has her reunion.
Yeah.
You know what place I think it is? I think it's that really pretty place with the windows, big windows, you know? Round and they're big. It's like a big restaurant.
There used to be a restaurant.
No, but I think it's got one of these level. No, I haven't. I think I know which restaurant it is. It's near the South Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah,
Same
well,
sort.
I must say because it was a fellowship that closed down last month. I had an appointment last month and they closed it.
They closed?
Yeah, they canceled it.
They closed.
He didn't. The fellowship.
And I did.
I've eaten it lately.
Thanks.
I do like it.
Right in front of the house.
I had my hair done in Pittsburgh. I had my hair done in Charlotte, November,
One of the best places ever.
Thursday.
Kiwi tiny.
Somehow it's easy. Has a rose ceremony.
I didn't
No.
know that.
No, they have it on the market in the land. Rose said it's much better.
It was so.
They always go.
But you know,
It's amazing. She's like you.
Yes. Strawberry lassi.
sometimes peanut butter.
I have tandoori chicken.
Is it the same price?
No, it's more. But it's what we have. You want to look at it?
I know which restaurant it is. There's no sign that says it's
Really.
That is first one.
There is one called I don't know that's on Melrose, I think. And I met the owner who gave me a cake that, with a $10 discount. And he said, the food is delicious, you must come. We should all go, and either you find
I'll go, yeah. I'm not saying no.
Good.
I'm not complaining, I'm saying no.
Great when I got back to it. Yeah, it was under 60 years. Then it was gel, and then rose.
I admire you.
I am like Stanley. Stanley Friday meets Stanley. Hold on to me. Because I just have to tell you this one thing, not sexual, friendship. I remember once he went to that gaiety. I was there with him often. He had
I will shrink them.
No, I wouldn't do that. That's honestly bad. I was like that when like my mom told me I was kind of like oh yeah, she wants to. That's what I was about to ask. Hey. No, you don't. It's like a really small entrance. It's not the church. It's past the Thai food. Yes.
I'm glad you like that cheese.
I don't know what you got. It was like one little door.
I like to bring it to something.
I looked for the number 1211 and there was a little poster outside.
It's really good. I have two hopes I play it. I have one soft months ago. Oh my God. You're actually
Have the fish and chips out, and that's the outside, and fish.
Steal your food.
Medical check. He would like mine. He's very sweet. Hacks, cakes, and I went to his father. He took over. Is he good?
Maybe. Did you? Yeah. Where at? Maybe it's cool. You're putting in the chicken. I never done that. I took some food that she didn't order. Oh, yeah. What do you say? I just ate a couple times. I just don't do that. Like, and then how it's that big. I literally told them to be loud. Just wasted. How am I?
Yes. It's good food.
I wasn't gonna go inside. I don't think fully. It took a long time to recover. At least it was late. Yeah, but I did it. I went for 2 hours. Driver to always look at the races. So far. Like 2.5 hours to go do that walk in for 5 minutes. Walk out next one. But then I came back and that's good. Sunday. That's like Indian food yesterday. Yeah, she was driving up.
And now, presenting the gal who is going to tell you how to live the luxury life for less, Marilyn Anderson.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. It was amazing. Now, before we start, I have a question. How many people here like to save money? How many people here like to spend money? And how many people here like to save money on things that other people are spending money on? Well, that's what tonight is about. I'm Marilyn Anderson, and I'm going to be talking about how to live like a millionaire when you're a million short. I wrote the book on that. So tonight I'm going to be talking about different ways to save thousands of dollars at the same time you enrich your life. And there will be categories of entertainment and travel, shopping and fashion, health and beauty, home decor, and much more. But before that, I want to tell you how it all started. See, I'm a writer, and as a writer, sometimes you may make a chunk of money, and other times you might make nothing, nada, bupkis, for weeks, months, a year, or even 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. But I always manage to have a great life anyhow, and I travel, and I buy things, and I go to theater. But you know, I have all these friends who have steady jobs and steady paychecks, and they always claim they're broke. They never do anything. They never go out to shows. They never go out to eat. They always claim they have no money. And here I am, a writer, and I'm doing all these wonderful things, and I haven't had a job in 1 or 2 years. And people are always asking me, how does Marilyn live? In fact, the 3 questions of the universe are, what is the meaning of life? Is there a God? And how does Marilyn live? In fact, one of my writing partners, Ira, he was friends with a very important big Hollywood producer. And sadly, the producer passed away. And, well, maybe not so sadly, he was kind of a jerk. But anyway, Ira told me he was there at the hospital on his deathbed. And he said, when it came to the end, the producer called him over, and he didn't say, tell my mother I love her, or say goodbye to my friends, or I'm sorry I was such an asshole. No, he called him over to the side of the bed, and he whispered in his ear, how does Marilyn live? So because everyone was asking, I decided I would reveal my secrets. And that's when I wrote the book, to tell you all these great things. Now, by the way, I wasn't always a writer. I actually have a couple degrees in biology and physiology, and I worked as a scientist. I worked in Washington, D.C. at the Institute of Laboratory Animal Resources, National Academy of Sciences, National Academy of National Research Council. Say that 5 times fast. But then one day I said, I don't want to be a scientist. I want to be a star. So I quit my job, sold my car, sold my furniture, sold my boyfriend, didn't get much for him, and I moved to New York to become a star. We see how that worked out. No, actually, when I first got to New York, a week after I got there, I got into a Broadway show. And it was very exciting. I sang and I danced and I acted, and the show ended after 8 performances. Not because I wasn't great, it was just a bad show. So after that, I went auditioning and I went to things, and I also started doing stand-up comedy. In fact, I used to go on back-to-back with another guy you probably never heard of, Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah. So then, after I was doing stand-up and I was going to auditions, one day I said, I either have to take a vacation or get a job. Let's see,
which is better, take a vacation or get a job? So I took a vacation out to Los Angeles, and I never went back. I loved it out here. Now, what is the first thing everyone does when they first come to Los Angeles? I wrote a screenplay. And everybody said to me, oh, you'll never get anybody to look at it. You'll never get an agent. You know, it's a waste of time. And I did. I got an agent. I got the hottest agent in town. The Agency of the Superstars. ASS. And it was very exciting. You know, I got the first screenplay and it got a lot of attention. It didn't get made. Well, it got made like 20 years later. But that's another story. But anyway, then I started writing for TV. And I wrote for Murphy Brown. I wrote for Fame. I wrote on Sherman Oaks. I wrote on a show with Carol Burnett. Not her first show, I'm not that old. But it had Carol Burnett, Jeremy Piven, and Richard Kind. It was called Carol and Company. And actually it was Jeremy Piven and Richard Kind's first TV show. So I think I'm sort of responsible for their careers. But anyway, after I did that, I mostly write comedy, but I can also kill 6 people an hour. Unfortunately, not the people of my choice, but I did write 3 Friday the 13th, the series, not the movie. And then I wrote another script, a feature film, and everybody loved the script, and it was optioned 8 times by Hollywood and never made. And so I said to myself, no more options. And so I stopped giving out options, and I went out and I raised the money myself, and I made the movie. And it's called How to Beat a Bully. And it's sort of a Home Alone kind of comedy with an anti-bullying theme. And you can see it on Amazon and on Tubi and on YouTube and on iPhones. It's in a lot of places. So I'm very proud that I did that. So then, one day I'm sitting at lunch, and I came up with an idea, and I said, this is an idea for a book. How come it's never been done? And I came up with my first book, which was called Never Kiss a Frog, A Girl's Guide to Creatures from the Dating Swamp. And this is sort of it's a collection of funny stories and comical illustrations and wart warnings that tell women, the men that they should avoid by depicting them as frogs. So, like as an example, I have Count Frogula. And Count Frogula has a cape and fangs, and his wart warning is, any guy who drains the life out of you sucks. And then I came up with another one, which is Sir Frogalot. And he's the knight in slimy armor, shining armor. And the wart warning for him is, he's all flowers and candy and tons of romance, but that all ends when he gets in your pants. And then, one of my favorites is Count Frogula. No, I said Count Frogula already, although he is one of my favorites. The Godfrogger. And the Godfrogger is like a mafiosa type, you know, with the fedora and the machine gun and whatever. And the wart warning for the Godfrogger is, if he's a wise guy, be a wise girl. Forget about it. So that's my first book. And it led to a lot of things. You know, I went around the country. I did a lot of radio shows and TV shows and in-person shows. And then I also was the flirting and kissing coach on Extreme Makeover. So that was a lot of fun. And then the next book I wrote was Muttweiler and Autodogography. Actually, I can't take credit for it. My dog actually dog-tated it to me. And he would be here tonight, except he's working on the sequel. And then the most recent book that I have is Dishonor Thy Father. And that's a multicultural mystery thriller. And I wrote it with 2 other authors, so I used a pen name on it because it's also very different from my other things, and my pen name on it is M.J. Richards. So, you know, it's not surprising that I became an author because when I was growing up, my mother was a librarian. In fact, my whole house was arranged according to the Dewey Decimal System. When her friends came over, she'd introduce me as her daughter, Anderson, Maryland. Sea Princess, Jewish American. But I knew that she loved me because every 2 weeks she'd renew me. And my father, he was kind of affected by it too. For instance, if they were making love and the phone rang, my mother would get up and leave a bookmark. But she turned it into something actually very creative and very useful. You know, in the old days, they had like dial a joke and dial a prayer. Well, my mother came up with a new one. It's called Dial a Jewish Mother. Now, this is the only one of the services where if you don't call it for 2 weeks, it calls you. She said, so Marilyn, are you dating anyone special? Yeah, Ma, I'm seeing an albino mutant with hoofs. Is he single? See, she was worried about that because she used to tell me, Marilyn, you cannot go to bed with a boy until you're married. And I sort of stuck to the same rule. I wouldn't go to bed with a guy unless he was married. But I don't do that anymore. No, that was a phase. But anyway, I think the reason I became a scientist is because my mother wanted me to be a doctor. I met them, I just never married them. But she was very strict, actually, because when I was a teenager, she actually tried to take out an insurance policy on my virginity. The closest she could get was collision. $100 deductible. And that is the stand-up portion of the evening. So now we're going to talk about how to live like a millionaire when you're a million short. And the first thing I want to talk about is entertainment. Because, well, particularly, I love theater. And I think live theater is wonderful. And what's better than live theater? Free live theater. I guess you all know about that. So one of my favorite tips in the book is soldoutcrowd.com. And Sold Out Crowd is an organization where you pay an annual fee of $95. And then you can go to the theater almost any night of the week, the whole year, and get 2 tickets for a small service fee of just $5. And they get the Ahmanson, they get the Geffen, the Mark Taper, the Pasadena Playhouse, the Wallace. They get all these big theaters, plus they get like all the little theaters in town. So you can go to theater all year long and take a friend for just $5 a ticket. It's really great. Now another place that does this also is called theaterextras.com. And it's sort of the same thing. It's $95 a year and then $5 a ticket. Now where Theater Extras is really super special is if you go to New York a lot, or if you have friends or family in New York, you can get tickets to Broadway shows for $5 a ticket. I mean, I went in June, I went to New York for a week, and I saw 9 Broadway shows. Wow. And I saw them each for $5 a ticket. So that's pretty wonderful. There's also a place called Seat Junkie, which you pay an annual fee, and they give there's no service charge for them. But on Sold Out Crowd, if you join and you tell them Marilyn Anderson sent you, you'll get your first 4 tickets with no service charge. So that's a $20 savings. So that's really good. And the other thing that's good, you know, you go to the theater, you take a friend, you invite her, you said, would you like to go to the Ahmanson? Would you like to go to the Geffen? You take them to the theater, they'll take you to dinner. So that's a good way to save. And it's certainly I love it. Now other things in town, of course there are rush seats, there are lottery tickets. You know, if Hamilton comes back, they have lottery tickets for $10. If you win the lottery, you'll get seats for $10 in the first row of Hamilton. So a lot of shows, and again, if you go to New York, all the shows have lotteries. So if you want to get it, you know, some of them are $40 or $50, but compare that to $200, $300 a seat. It's really good. So that's lotteries. There's also a company called Today Tix that gives you discount tickets. You should check that. And also the Ahmanson, did you know that on opening night, if you go standby, you can see their shows for free because they have a waiting line because they want to fill up all the seats. So theater is one of the things I truly, truly love. Now, we're in Los Angeles, and this is a real movie town. So how do we see movies for free? Well, I'm in the Writers Guild. Make friends with somebody in the Writers Guild or in SAG-AFTRA or in the Directors Guild, and they get free movies all the time. But you can also join their groups. There's IDA, which is the International Documentary Association, and if you join that, you can get all the documentaries all year, and a lot of them have screenings, and a lot of them have receptions, you know, where you meet people and you have drinks and possibly appetizers for free. So that's the International Documentary Association, and there's a lot of other places like that here. Also, every year is the French American Film Festival, and that's held at the DGA, the Directors Guild, and it's 1 week, and it's every year. You can check it out, French American Film Festival, and every day from morning to night they have free French films, and you can see the greatest films, plus they have Q&As with the directors and the actors, and they also have receptions with wine and cheese, and it's almost like you're on vacation if you go to this. So I highly recommend that. Some of their movies may cost a little, but many of them are totally free. So I really recommend that. So that's movies. Now before we go on, I'll say a little bit about TV. You know, when I lived in Marina, and then I moved more near Beverly Hills, but I was paying for Spectrum, for cable, like $100 a month. And you know, I lived there for 20 years. That's like $25,000. So when I moved, I said, this is ridiculous. I'm cutting the cable. So I cut the cable, and I bought a $20 home antenna from Amazon. Now that's not $20 a month. That's $20 period. And with that, you can get all your regular channels, 7, 5, 4, you know, 2, all the, plus 200 other channels that you'll probably never ever watch. But it's certainly better than paying, you know, thousands of dollars for cable. And then of course, there's streaming, which now is costing a lot of money. And there is a thing for all kinds of streaming called Apollo Group TV. Now Apollo Group TV, you can get all the streamings, Hulu, Disney, Amazon, Netflix, and for a year it costs like $160. There's one little ick, is they want you to pay with Bitcoin. But they'll tell you how to do it. And also some of the reviews have not been great. But I have a girlfriend who's had it for the last 5 years, and she always tells me she gets every single streaming channel plus all these others, and she doesn't pay all that money for them. So that's something. So now I want to tell you also about dating. Dating is sort of entertainment, isn't it? Not exactly, but it's either entertainment or it's a disaster. Well, I have to admit, I'm on internet dating. And the one thing I don't like is when the guy first calls you, and what does he want? He wants to meet you for coffee at Starbucks. And I say, what could be less romantic than going to a Starbucks or a coffee shop where 99% of the people are on their computers? Is that romantic? No. So what I say, guys, why do you go for coffee? Because it's cheap, and so are they. But I say, you can go out for an evening that costs nothing and get wine, appetizers, culture, fun, people watching. Go to an art gallery, an art opening. I love art openings. I get very excited about them, and they have them all over town. I went to one in Venice, not the Venice in Europe, but the Venice over here, called La Louvre. I went by myself, and that's the other thing. You can go by yourself, you can go with girlfriends, you can go with friends, or I like to go by myself. So I went by myself to La Louvre, and I'm looking at the paintings, and I say to the art rep, I said, oh, this is nice, how much is it? And she said, well, it's $350. I said, wow, $350? That's really inexpensive. She said, no, it's $350,000. And the guy next to me was buying he was married, and he was gay. But anyway, you can have a great time at art openings for free, and it makes a wonderful night out, or some of them are Saturday afternoons or Sunday afternoons, a lot of them are at night. So I do like art openings. I popped into another art opening in Bergamot Station, and Bergamot Station was this particular gallery. I would say it was just the size of the middle audience here. It was a really tiny, tiny art gallery. And I walked in, and the first person I saw was Kim Kardashian. And then I looked the other way, and there was Goldie Hawn and Russell, Kurt Russell, right, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. And then I looked the other way, and there was James Brolin, who's Barbra Streisand's husband. Well, I had met him once years ago before he married Barbara, and he was so nice. I met him at a party, and we were talking and everything. So I decided I was going to go up to him and say, I know why you married Barbara. It's because she reminded you of me. But just then Barbra Streisand walked over. So I figured I better not say that, you know. And she was mumbling, people. Anyway, I do love art galleries. And another thing that I like to talk about in terms of living a high life is food. I'm a foodie. I love to eat, but I hate to cook. So, and restaurants these days can be so expensive. So I do a few things so that I can go to great restaurants, but not have to pay the huge prices. Well, number one, if I get a good date, and if not, that always works. But also, instead of going to dinner, I'll go to lunch or I'll go to happy hour. A happy hour, most of these expensive restaurants have happy hours, like at Ruth Chris or El Fordeo or a lot of these places. You know, for dinner you might spend $100. You get a steak is $50, $60, and then you have a drink or something. Or for two people, it's $200. But if you go to happy hour, you know, they have $9 appetizers and $10 drinks. So you can get away with $20 or $25 and still have the same ambiance and food, but not spend as much. Then, of course, there's Groupon. How many of you use Groupon? Oh, Groupons are great. In fact, if I ever get married, I'm registering at Groupon. Yeah, because, and what I do is I find the places that I like to go, and I don't just buy regular Groupons. I like to wait till they go on sale, because they always have sales where they're 20% off, or 30% off, or they give you $10 off 30, or $20 off 60. So wait till you have the sales. The same thing for restaurant.com. Restaurant.com has 18,000 restaurants all over the country. And so you can buy certificates, and I don't understand why more people don't use these things when they go traveling. Because in other cities you can use Groupons or you can use restaurant.com and go to new places and spend a lot less money. Another app that I just started using that I love is In Kind. Do any of you know about In Kind? In Kind is an app that's on your phone, and talk to me afterwards and I'll give you a referral code, and your first restaurant you'll get $25 off. And I use it all the time, and not only do you get money off the first time, but the restaurants that they have on, which are many, some are expensive, some are more reasonable, but they're all over the city and all over the country. And every time you go to eat, you get 20% discount. And so those discounts that they give you add up so that the next 3 or 4 times you go out to eat, you get a free meal because you use what's in your In Kind app. And I use it all the time. So that's some of my foodie things that I like. So I could talk about art and culture and food all day because that's what I love. I love entertainment. I love going out to eat. But I'm going to go on to another subject, which is live and learn and love. And, you know, during the pandemic, I found out about a lot of things that I didn't know about before because we were forced to stay home and we were forced to, like, use our computers and do things. I wish I had invested in Zoom. You know, that would have been a good one. But anyway, did you know that you can go to Harvard or Yale for free. Actually, all the universities around the country give free classes online, and you can use these classes, whether it's to learn something new or to have fun, to change your job or to increase your knowledge for the job you have. You go to Coursera.org or edx.org or ClassCentral.com, and there's classes in everything from technology to religion to languages to computer stuff. So it's really great. I have a girlfriend who took a course in happiness at Yale. Of course she was happy, she went to Yale. But anyway, this is something that we didn't necessarily, I didn't know about until the pandemic, and I found out. And it's really great for free classes. Another thing, YouTube. YouTube has so many resources for people. It tells you all kinds of things: carpentry, pottery, graphology, how to fix your computer, or when you can't get something working on your computer and you can't get anybody on the phone, go to YouTube and there'll be some kind of a video that teaches you something. Now, I have a girlfriend who learned, she painted her sofa. And when I say she painted it, I don't mean the wooden part of it. She painted the fabric of it, and it looked fabulous, and she ended up selling it, making a lot of money. But, so you can learn a lot of things on YouTube. Oh, and one of the things on YouTube, if you don't want to go out or you don't have certain shows that you want to see, there's about 100 or more musicals and plays from all over the country and Broadway shows that are on YouTube for free. They have Aladdin, they have Frozen, they have Sunset Boulevard, and it's a great place. I mean, and Legally Blonde. I loved watching Legally Blonde, and you can watch it with your kids or your grandkids, because not only do you have the show, but they put the lyrics up there so that you could sing along with it. So check out those. Now, Mamma Mia, I always like the songs from Mamma Mia. In fact, I like it so much I play it, and I exercise to it. And you know what? I really lost a lot of weight. Yeah, it really helped me. And I got a booty too. Anyway, I've been taking diet pills. I don't eat less, I just eat faster. So anyway, so now I'm going to go to our next category, which is making space and making money. Now, again, when the pandemic came about and we all got stuck at home, one of the things I immediately thought of that I needed to do that I hadn't done, but here I'm stuck at home, I was going to organize my closet. Did anybody here organize their closet during the pandemic? Well, I didn't do it either, but what I did do, and what I'm going to tell you to do, is go into your closet and come out with cash. And how do you do this? Well, I had a jewelry box, and I had some jewelry in it that I got like when I was 12 years old. Like my aunt gave me some things, and I'm getting caught here on my thing, my aunt and my grandmother. And you say, well, it has sentimental value, I can't give it away. But if you haven't worn it in years, take a picture of it, And my favorite place for fine jewelry is to take it to the Real Real, therealreal.com. And this is a consignment shop, but it's online, so that you don't have to wait for somebody to go buy a shop and go in. It's out there for the world to see. And I took a bunch of bracelets and necklaces and things. And the thing about the Real Real is, yes, you can mail it to them, but they will also come to your house. So, and they sell a lot of designer clothes, if you have designer clothes that you haven't worn, and they'll come to your house and look through stuff. And it's great, because then you'll get money, and you can either take the money and get a discount on something if you want to buy something there, or you can take the cash. And they also have a store on Melrose. We're lucky to live in LA, so they do have a store here. But it's nice if they come to your house and they'll go through your stuff with you. So that's therealreal.com. And I've made a couple $1,000s from stuff that was just sitting in my drawer, not being worn or used. Now, there's other places too. There's Poshmark, there's Tradesy, there's ThreadUp. There's a lot of places where you can sell stuff if it might not be designer stuff. And now my favorite consignment shop here is LA Trove, or Trove LA on Westwood Boulevard. And the thing about that is they'll take stuff that isn't necessarily designer, plus they also have home goods. And I've sold so much stuff there. You know, when you're purging your place and you want to get rid of it, all the stuff that you have, the LA Trove is a really good place. And again, they have home goods too. So I've ended up taking stuff there. I've ended up buying stuff there because you get a discount if you sold there. And it's just wonderful. So I do recommend that. It's a fun place to go to. Now, so there's other, obviously, places that you can sell. But, you know, let's say you have a wedding to go to or an important event and you want to wear a $2,000 or a $3,000 dress. Well, you don't want to, like, spend that kind of money, right? Well, there's Rent the Runway, which is a place where you can rent a $2,000 dress for $50, wear it, and just send it back. I mean, I think that's great. It's what the stars do. They don't have to pay anything for it, of course, but they wear it and send it back. And with Rent the Runway, you don't have to pay for cleaning. You don't have to pay for shipping. You just order the dress, wear it, and send it back. And there's other places that do rentals. Some places, it all started because one place, Bagsy, rented very expensive handbags, you know, from Chanel and from any place that's, you know, Jimmy Choo, whatever, and they rent it and you send it back. So now there's a bunch of clothing stores that do that, including Le Tote and Winnie B, and then my favorite, Rent the Runway. And the thing that's really good with Rent the Runway, if you have a daughter or a granddaughter or a friend, whatever, who goes to work and likes to wear different clothes or goes to a lot of parties, they have a subscription where you can pay like $100 a month, and each month they'll send you three dresses, you send them back, then they'll send you 3 more. When we used to get DVDs from Netflix, I used to call it the Netflix of fashion, because they'll just send you as many dresses and then you send them back. So it's a great way to minimize your closet and maximize your credit card. So I do like that. Now what about, does anybody here like getting things free?
Yes.
Yes. Well, my favorite way to get free things is a group called Buy Nothing. Have you heard of Buy Nothing?
Yeah.
Buy Nothing is fantastic. Buy Nothing, if you go to Facebook, there'll be a Buy Nothing group in your local neighborhood, whether it's Beverly Hills or Santa Monica or in the Valley. Look up Buy Nothing, and it's only people in your own neighborhood. And they are just giving things away. They give away clothes. They give away furniture. I got a chair in perfect condition. It's a beautiful wood-carved chair. I looked it up online. It's $1,000. Somebody just gave it to me. So Buy Nothing is like my favorite place. And I've given things too, but I also got a shirt. It still had the tag on it for $100. And they give everything. They give, as I said, furniture, clothes, whatever. And the nice thing is it's people in your own neighborhood, so you don't have to worry about, you know, strangers coming to your door. You arrange a meeting place, whether you go to their home or you meet outside, wherever. But Buy Nothing is just a great place. Now, Nextdoor and Craigslist and OfferUp, they also have free things. But I don't think it's as quality necessarily as Buy Nothing. Buy Nothing, you get just fabulous things all the time. Every day there's new things on it. And so that's Buy Nothing. And then, like I said, Nextdoor and OfferUp. And of course, on Nextdoor and Craigslist and OfferUp, you can sell things too. So that's a great way to make extra money if you've got something that's worth selling. So, so that's one thing. Oh, by the way, so we're talking about getting things free. Then, if you like really good discounts from really expensive stores, I like shopping. I love expensive things, but I don't like paying the prices. So I'll go to Nordstrom's or I'll go to Neiman Marcus, which is really expensive. And I'm a jacketaholic. I love jackets, you know. So I have all different. I'm the Imelda Marcos of jackets. So I'll go see a jacket that I like, you know, Cinque Set or Vince Caputo or any Tom Ford, whatever. But I won't buy it. But I'll try it on so I know if I like it. Well, if you get on the email list for Nordstrom's and for Neiman Marcus, they have the most amazing online sales. They will email you all their sales, and they don't put these sales in the store. So they'll have 50% off, 70% off, 90% off. I got a jacket that when I saw it in the store, it was $600. I got an email, it was 90% off. I bought it for $60, and it was $600 in the store. So get on those email lists of the expensive stores that you like, and you'll see so many sales. It's just fantastic. So I like to do that. And then we have, that's emails. Then we have, trying to think, I don't want to miss anything, so I will go to my crib notes. Okay. So now we're up to, that's expensive stores, and, okay, so now we're going to move on. If you like free things, how would you like some free money? Anybody want free money? Okay, we're going to go to missing money. And I would say this works for 9 out of 10 people. You go to missingmoney.com, and you put your name and the place where you live, the city where you live, and up will pop money that is owed you. Now and what it is, it's unclaimed property. Now some of you may say, property? I don't have property. But unclaimed property is money that the state holds for you that has been sitting there. They actually have billions of dollars that is owed to people that has not been claimed. So I told a friend of mine, I saw his name on Missing Money, and I said, you got to go to Missing Money. You have an account there. And he says, oh, it's a scam. Don't do it. I'm not doing it. And I said, please, just go on missingmoney.com, put your name in, and do it for every state or every city that you lived in. You know, so many of us have moved around now. So this is an assignment for you. But I told him, go, and a paragraph in my book tells you specifically how to do it. But go to missingmoney.com, put in your name, and I told him to do it. I literally had to hit him over the head. Finally, he did it. He put his name in the cities in which he lived, and up popped a "You have money." Thought it was a scam. About 2 months later, he gets a letter from the state of Texas saying, we're sending you a check. He didn't believe me. 3 weeks later, he got a check for $12,000.
Wow!
Didn't cost him anything. Yes, well, some people have got as much as $200,000. You know what? You can do it not just for yourself. You can do it for your siblings, for your parents, for your grandparents.
They can't claim it.
Because if they had money and they didn't know it, guess what? It's been accruing over the years or decades, and it's just sitting there waiting for a descendant who can prove their, ancestry. And one person I saw on TV, they did a show, he got $200,000. Now I did it. Oh, by the way, some states might not be in there, so it might pop up like, I don't think California is in there yet. So when you put your name in and you put Los Angeles, it'll say, go to your state website. So in that case, we go to the California website and we put in the search box, unclaimed property, and then it'll come up. And then you put your name and the city in which you lived, and that'll pop up. So I did it, and the first time I did it, I filled it out and I got $450. Then about another month later, I said, well, let me look again, and I looked, and it popped up, said you had money. I had 22 cents. But the point is, and where does it come from? You said, well, this money can be from old stocks, it can be from bonds, it can be from refunds from utility companies, it can be from a lot of different sources. But I'll tell you, 9 out of 10 people will find that they or their parents or their grandparents have money just sitting there waiting to be claimed. And so that's an assignment. Tomorrow, if you're not working, do it in the morning. If you're working, do it when you come home from work. Go to missingmoney.com and put in your name. And, you know, I only take a 10% commission. So. No, but it's really something everybody should do because the money is sitting there and waiting for you. They have billions of dollars. So now, I'm going to go to the next section, which is looking good and feeling good. Now, I have very long hair, very thick hair and thin legs, better than the reverse, right? But anyway, to go to a nice salon and get my hair cut and colored and blow dried, and I have to do it because my hair is long and it grows fast, it would cost me probably $150 to $250 each time. Well, that's a lot of money if you do it over a year. We're talking thousands of dollars. So what I do, I go as a hair model. Now, the good thing about it being a hair model is you don't have to be young, you don't have to be thin, you don't have to be gorgeous, you just need one thing, hair. So I go, and it's mostly at fancy salons throughout the city. And it's real, if you just want to cut, sometimes it's free, sometimes it might be 20 bucks. But it's a lot different than what it would cost if you went someplace. And for color, oftentimes they'll give you a color charge, so you might have to pay anywhere from $35 to $50. Usually I do $35. But again, we're talking $35 or $200. You know, multiply that by, you know, every month going once or twice a month, and you're spending a lot of money. So how do you find out about where to go for a hair model? There's a site called salonapprentice.com. And if you go to Salon Apprentice and put your information in, they'll send you emails every week of what salons are looking for hair models. And they do men's as well as women's. And they'll send you emails. And like I said, they're usually at very high-end salons. And, you know, they'll bring you mimosas or something to drink or some cookies, and they'll do your hair. And who's doing it? Well, it could be somebody who's been working there but is moving to a different salon. It could be somebody who's been training and they're moving on. But usually they do a very good job. I mean, you could go to a good hairdresser and they have a bad hair day and you spend $200 and end up, you know, Frizz City. But I go as a hair model all the time. And not only salonapprentice.com, but if you go on Craigslist and you go to services or gigs and go to beauty, and then when you get to beauty, put in the little search bar hair model, and that will pop up with also some salons that are doing hair. So that's what I like to do for hair. Now during the pandemic, I couldn't go to salons, and so I would get professional style color at, you know, either E-Salon or Madison Reed. But I went on YouTube and I found out how to cut my own hair. Because I have long hair, all I have to do is put it in a ponytail on top of my head and snip it, and I get perfect layers. So I often now cut my hair myself because I learned how to do it, and it only takes 10 minutes, whereas when you go to a salon, it's going to take 1 or 2 hours, especially when you have long hair like mine. But I highly recommend it. It's fun, and it's inexpensive, and you get to meet with different people, salons all over the city. So that's being a hair model, and I enjoy that. Now, what about nails? Also, during the pandemic, I found out, you know, I like to go to a Vietnamese salon, but there's also a place called Color Street Nails, which is, Color Street is, they have independent salespeople, and it's not just press-on nails, but they're press-on, but they're not as thick as press-ons, and they have them in all different patterns and colors, and for Thanksgiving, you can get pumpkins, and for Halloween, you can get witches, and for Christmas, you can get snowmen or Santa Claus, and they're really cool. Or if you want to make some money, you can become a Color Street stylist and sell them. But it's kind of fun, and I enjoy that. So that's looking good. Now, what about feeling good? Oh my gosh, is the price of drugs making you sick? Yeah, well, I have a couple recommendations on that. There's a thing called goodrx.com, and they will send you a card for free, and then you can use that card at all your local pharmacies. And sometimes with the GoodRx card, you can get your drugs even less than with insurance. So get yourself a free GoodRx card. The other one I recommend is Mark Cuban. He was very upset. He's a billionaire, but he believes in helping the everyday person. And so he didn't like that drugs were so expensive. So what he did is he teamed up with Cost Plus, and now if you get your prescriptions from them, they will tell you you're only paying 15% more than the base price. So, you know, you're not paying these outrageous things. You know exactly what you're getting. So that's another one. Now, doctor fees, of course, can be huge. And I don't know if you know it, but sometimes you can even negotiate with doctors because it costs a lot of money. But what happened with a dentist, I've been going to this dentist for years, and he kept telling me I had bad gums and I needed to go to a periodontist. So finally, I went to a periodontist, and he looks at my teeth, you know, and he says, very bad gums, you know. He said, I have to do gum flap surgery, which means they cut your gums, and let me tell you, it's kind of painful, and they do some stuff down there, and that's $5,000. And then you come back another time, and they scrape skin off the, I know it's upsetting, isn't it? They scrape skin off the top of your mouth, your palate, and place that skin over the place where they cut it, and that's another $5,000. So we're talking $10,000. So he said, when do you want to come in? I said, don't call us, we'll call you. So I go home, knowing that I need this gum work done, and I say to myself, what would the author of this book do? So I went online and I looked for alternatives to gum flap surgery. And up popped this thing called LANAP, L-A-N-A-P. And it's laser-assisted a procedure with a special laser. And what they do is with your gums, they do a laser procedure, and it actually fixes the gum and regenerates bone. And there's no cutting, there's no pain, there's no recovery time, but it's still expensive. I mean, then it was like $5,000, and now it's probably $6,000 or $7,000. But guess what? I looked further, and I found this place in Cerritos called Millennium Dental. And Millennium Dental is the home where LANAP was born. And they teach, not students, but dentists and periodontists who have been in practice for 10 or 20 years, but they want to change to this procedure. And guess what? If you qualify, Millennium Dental will do it for free. So it's only 40 minutes away, so I went down to Millennium Dental, and they looked at my gums, and they said, oh yes, you qualify. So I ended up, and they did one side on 1 week, and then a couple weeks later they did the other side. There was no pain, there was no recovery, and there was no $10,000. And I got a girlfriend in too, and she got it also with no pain, no recovery, and no $10,000. And the next year they gave us all our cleanings for free. So, so if you need gum surgery, stop and ask me, and I'll tell you where to get your gums done for free. But it was, and that's the thing, is you should look for alternatives. I had a friend who was going to get a nose job. You know, when I was 16, all the girls were getting nose jobs. And even me, when I wrote my first book, I was on a lot of TV shows, and I looked, and as you get older, you lose a lot of cartilage. And I was seeing that I had a bump that I never had before. And so I was looking into, like, should I get a nose job? And it was like $25,000 for a nose job. Plus they break your nose, and it's painful, and there's all kinds of recovery. But guess what I found? I found the 15-minute nose job, which was no pain, no recovery. They inject Restylane or or other kinds of things, and it comes out with no bump. And so I went to the doctor who developed the whole procedure, although a lot of doctors are doing it now. And instead of it costing $25,000 or $20,000, it cost anywhere from $1,000 to like $2,500. But I said to him, hey, would you like an article? And so he gave it to me for free. But the point is, there are alternatives that can be less expensive and less invasive. I saw on Craigslist, somebody was looking for someone to do liposuction. Liposuction can cost $20,000. They were charging $250, and it was a legitimate doctor's office, but they were, doing some new things. And that's the thing. You want to be absolutely sure, do your due diligence, especially with doctors or dentists or healthcare. But there are alternatives. Sometimes a doctor will tell you that something doesn't exist because he doesn't do it. But you should check and see if there are alternatives, because there really are. Now, the other thing with looking good and feeling good is I found the best place for eyeglasses. I used to wear contact lenses all the time. And if you get prescription glasses, because I would always get a backup pair, what does the prescription glasses cost at your optometrist? $200, $300, $400, am I right? Well, I found these places online that they cost like $30 for prescription glasses. And one is I Buy Direct, one is Kits, one is Zenny. But my favorite place, because they have all these funky glasses in great colors and great styles, and their frames are anywhere from $1 to a lot are $6.95, and then you add the prescriptions and it's another $30. So I can get like 5 pairs of glasses for what it would cost me one at an optician here in town. And I go to Vooglam. You can see I have a few of the different glasses that I have. I have like 20 pairs of glasses now at home because I change them. I mean, you wear different clothes, why not wear different glasses? And every time I go out and I'm wearing my glasses, I get compliments. And so it's much more fun to go out with a new pair of glasses and get compliments than to wear my contact lenses. Although I do have them on tonight, so you can see me without my glasses. But anyway, that's Vooglam. And so now I want to tell you the next thing. Now you're looking good, you're feeling good. Now you're going to start traveling. Let's go somewhere. And travel, we know how expensive travel can be, and there's so many different ways to go. And in the book, I have a lot of the websites. You can go to Sherman's, you can go to Max Flights, Dollar Flight Club, Jgood, which is Just Get Out of Town. And they tell you how to travel at the height of luxury and not pay anything. But tonight I'm going to focus on what's probably not only the best travel tip in my book, but the best tip in my book. And remember, everything I'm telling you tonight is in here, plus hundreds of other things. So I can just do the tip of the iceberg tonight. How would you like to spend 6 nights at a 4-star resort in Spain for free?
Yeah.
Okay, this is my literally favorite tip in the book. There's a place called Guantown, and they have 5 different resorts outside of Madrid, anywhere from an hour to 2.5 to 3 hours outside of Madrid. And every week at each of these resorts, they have 15 native English-speaking people and 15 Spanish business people. And the English-speaking people get accommodations, meals, activities, everything is free. And why? It's because the Spanish business people who are paying for it want to practice their conversational English. So you say, oh, well, I can't go because I don't speak Spanish. But you're not allowed to speak Spanish. You can only speak English. So, and they have 5 different resorts, so when you go to look at it, you can choose which resort you like. Or I have one girlfriend who went to one resort for 6 nights, and then she went to another resort for the next 6 nights. I have another girlfriend who said, no, this can't be true. She had the best vacation of her life. She said a lot of people have been there 15 times because it's so wonderful. So, and it's not just people from the U.S., because if it's native, it could be from England, it could be from Scotland, from Ireland, from South Africa, anywhere that is native English speakers. So you meet people from all over the world, plus the Spanish people. And it's a wonderful cultural vacation. They do not pay your airfare, so you can either use miles to get there, or if you're going to Europe anyhow, save a week at the beginning or the end of your trip and take this free week at Vaughantown, and you will have one of the best times and have culture and fun, and it's all free the week. So that's my favorite tip of the book. And now that I've told you about that, I'm going to have, what, a little vodka to... Now I'm going to talk to you about the philosophy of the book. Now, you've probably all heard of rules to live by. I'm going to give you rules to live like a millionaire by. And my first rule is to ask, or as I like to say, make an ask of yourself. And I'm going to give you 3 different little stories about how I asked and how it can save you thousands of dollars. My first one is just a little one, which was I had like a throw rug that I wanted to get cleaned. And so I called one of these rug companies and I said, you know, how much is it to clean a rug? She said $120. I said I could buy them. But did I hang up? No. I said to her, well, are you having any sales coming up? She said, well, actually, we're having a sale now, 2 for 1. Well, I didn't have 2 rugs that needed to be cleaned, but I had some girlfriends who might have had rugs. So I hung up and I started, actually I had some guy friends who had rugs too, but it was different kinds of rugs. So anyhow, so I called a couple of girlfriends and one of them also had a rug to be cleaned. And so we each got our rug cleaned for $60 instead of $120 because I asked. Now another one is, I told you I like to go to Nordstrom's a lot. So I was shopping at Nordstrom's and I like jackets. So I saw this blue, royal blue cashmere jacket. It was stunning, but it was $1,000. I'm trying it on, it looks great. And the sales girl said, oh, it looks great. But I'm not going to spend $1,000 for a jacket, so did I just go away? No. I said to the sales girl, is this going to go on sale anytime? And she said, well, I can let you know. And that's the second rule is make friends with people. So I said to her, well, do you think maybe you could call me when it goes on sale? She said, I'd be happy to do that. So she took down my number, you know, and I went home. And a couple of weeks later, she said, oh, Marilyn, your jacket's on sale. It's only $800. I said, nah, it's too much. It's too much. So she would call me every week or so and say, oh, it went down. It's $500 now. It's $400 now. So she called me finally. It was like a month later. And she said, your jacket, there's only one left, and it's in your size, and it's only $300. Well, it was still more than I wanted to spend, but I figured, well, let me go and try it. So I went and I tried it on, and it looked gorgeous. And I said, you know, I really like it, but I still don't want to spend $300. She said, you stay here, I'll be right back. So she went in the back, and she came back. She said, I'm going to give you the friends and family price, $149.
Wow.
So I got a $1,000 jacket for $149 because I asked and because I made a friend. So she would call me every now and then when there were great things that they had and they went on sales, and she would always give me, you know, great prices. And then a few months later I went and she wasn't working there anymore. I think she got fired. But maybe she's at Neiman's now. But anyway, the thing is I asked. And here's my third little ask story. It's not really shopping so much. Well, it's sort of man shopping. So I was taking a trip. I was going to Puerto Rico, you know, traveling, whatever. And this was, you know, a few years ago, so they hadn't assigned seats or anything. So I was on Southwest or something. And so I went up, I was traveling alone, and I usually don't like traveling alone, but I couldn't get any friends who wanted to go at the time. So I was going to Puerto Rico. So I went to the airline, and the woman said, do you want an aisle seat or a window seat? And I said, can you just put me next to a handsome man? She said to me, well, why don't you stand back there And when you see somebody you like, give me a sign. So I said, oh, I couldn't do that. You know, I'd be too embarrassed. You know, I said, just give me an aisle seat. So she gave me an aisle seat, and I went, and I sat down in my aisle seat. And you know, people start coming in on the plane, whatever, walking down the aisle. And all of a sudden, this really handsome guy walks down the aisle, and he stops at my row, and he puts his bag up on the rack, and he says, excuse me, I have the window seat. And he gets into the window seat, and you know, everybody's in now, and they close the door, and the plane starts taking off. And he turns to me, and he said, you know, it's the weirdest thing. As soon as I said I wanted a window seat, the clerk said, have I got a seat for you? And we ended up talking the whole time. And when we got there, he took me out to dinner that night. And we ended up spending the whole 4 days together. And we went out to dinner, and he paid for everything. So, and why was it? It was because I asked. So you want to ask. So that's my little story about asking for what you want. And my next rule is ask, make friends, is comparative shop. And another thing that you want to do is price match. We spoke about Nordstrom's, and did you know Nordstrom's will price match? If you see something there that you like it and you find it somewhere else cheaper, they will match the price, you know, because you want to try it on, you want to see how it looks. The other thing is, you know, so many of us have offices at home now, and whenever I go to Best Buy or to Staples, I will never buy, whether it's a $20 toner or a $3,000 computer. I will never buy something that just says what the price is, even if it says on sale, because sometimes their sale might be higher than somebody else's regular price. And both Best Buy and Staples will price match. So again, when you go there, we have phones now, you can look on your phone, and they'll price match with Amazon also. So you can look yourself, or you can say to the clerk at Best Buy or Staples, can you price match this? And they'll do it. And, you know, especially if you've got an office, you're spending money on things, you know, every month. And over a year, you can save a lot of money if you price match. So that's one thing I like to do. And you can find out some other stores will do it too, but I know Best Buy and Staples and Nordstrom are three that do it. And of course, car shops too. If you're buying a new car, you usually there do price match and shop around. So the next rule is what I call remember what you want. Some people will call this a bucket list, but I call it remember what you want. Now, I had a girlfriend, she was very rich, and she used to go to Canyon Ranch Spa like 4 times a year. Now, Canyon Ranch Spa is in Tucson, Arizona. It's like $6,000 for 4 nights. It's a very exclusive, very expensive thing. And she would always go and brag about this place, and I said to myself, if I ever get the opportunity, I would really love to go to Canyon Ranch Spa, but I can't afford $6,000 for, you know, a weekend, whatever, a long weekend. But I kept it in my head that it was something that I would like to do if I ever got the opportunity. So a while after that, a girlfriend called me, and she said, do you want to be, we're doing a bachelorette auction. Do you want to be auctioned off, be a bachelorette? And I said, sure, I'm game. You know, I like to do fun stuff like that. And so each of the bachelors, it was in Oxnard at a hotel there, and it was for the American Lung Association. And each of the bachelors and bachelorettes had to arrange their own dates. So like somebody arranged a date at a fancy restaurant, and somebody arranged a hot air balloon ride and a picnic, and somebody arranged a round of golf and lunch at the clubhouse. And I was thinking, American Lung Association, spa, lungs. So I called Canyon Ranch Spa, and I said, I'm doing a charity event for the American Lung Association. Would you be willing to donate 2 rooms? Because, you know, I wouldn't know who was bidding on me, so I need my own room. And they said, absolutely, we would love to give you 2 rooms. And, you know, I was going to put they would get a full page ad in the program which, you know, would go to everybody who came to the auction. And I also got 2 airline tickets donated, and I got a limo donated from our homes to the airport. So that, you know, the only thing is, I thought, oh my God, what if somebody like horrible bids on me? I don't want to do that. But I had a male friend, who had never been to Canyon Ranch and he really wanted to go. And he knew that if he did it through a charity, he could probably get it for less than it was worth. Especially since it was Oxnard, they don't know as much about what's going on in So I brought a shill. I did. I brought a shill. So that night, before the auction, they had a cocktail party where you would go around and meet the person. Hi, how are you? I'm being auctioned off. Hi, how are you? You know, and you meet people at the place. So I'm going around and I meet this really handsome stranger. You know, he's very cute and we're talking and whatever. And then it's time for the event. And I was the last one to go on. You know, the people all got bid on, and mine was the last one because it was the most expensive date. Plus, I'm $1 million gal, right? So I'm going down. There's something fun, and there's something exciting about walking down a runway and having people bid on you. Maybe it's not PC, but it was great fun. So I'm walking down the aisle, you know, and the paddles are going up 200, 300, 500, 700, and it gets up to $1,000. And there's only 2 people left, the handsome stranger and my shill. And I'm going to my shill. No, don't bid anymore. Well, the handsome stranger won me. So it was really fun. And then when we went, we had to pick a date, and he came to pick me up, and he was wearing a white Panama suit. Who wears a suit to a spa? But anyway, he was wearing a suit, and he brought me flowers. And of course, he came in a limo. And this was before, you know, the Bachelor and the Bachelorette show came on. But, you know, but anyway, we went to Canyon Ranch Spa, and it was great. We did not end up being a romantic couple, but I got my $6,000 trip for free, and he got a $6,000 trip for $1,000, and he had such a good time that he came back another time. So it's because 2 things. Number one, I remembered what I wanted, and when the opportunity came, the second thing is carpe diem. I seized the moment. So those are 2 rules. And the other rule, of course, is be open to new things. I mean, you may not all want to be bachelors and bachelorettes, although you're a very good-looking crowd. But be open to new things because you never know what's going to come up, and you have to be open. And the last rule, which is really the most important, is if the pandemic and the fires have not taught us anything, it's we never know what's happening. We never know what's around the corner. So we need to take time every day, every moment to enjoy life and to treat ourselves well and to have a good time. And I truly believe in that, and that's what this book is about too. And like I said, it tells you stories of how I did it and how you can do it. And it's got much more. I just hit the tip of the iceberg. I even got paid to get I found a way to get paid to have a personal trainer. There's all kinds of interesting things in there that I haven't. So, and you know, it's like I just enjoy life and I have fun doing it. It's not scheming. Everything is a win-win situation. So I tell you to do that. And in the spirit of that, afterwards, we're going to have a reception with wine and refreshments, and I'm going to make these books available to you. I have Never Kiss a Frog, which is very funny for women or men or your friends or whatever. I don't have Muttwaller because that's a Kindle book, but I have Never Kiss a Frog, and I have Frog Notes, Laugh Till You Croak, and they're 12 in a pack, and everybody who buys a book can get a pack of Frog Notes for free. And also I'll have some of the books of my novels, if you're a novel writer. And it's funny on how to live like a millionaire. I mean, I have a girlfriend who's got 18 books. Every time somebody has a birthday, she'll give them this book because she calls it the gift that keeps on giving. Because it tells you how to live life better save money, and enjoy your life more every single day of every single year. So we call it the gift that keeps on giving. So I want to thank you all for being here. Now my name, which some of you may know me, my name is Marilyn Anderson. For those who don't know me, my name is Marilyn Anderson. And you know, people always say to me, well, you don't look like an Anderson. Did you change your name to go into show business? And I say, no, I did not change my name. My real name is Marilyn Anderson. I didn't change it to go into show business. In fact, my great-great-great-grandfather was Hans Christian Rabinowitz. He changed his name to go into show business. So thank you very much. I hope I'll see you around.
I want to first of all, my name is Chris DiCarlo. I'm one of the co-artistic directors here at Playhouse. This is our first night of our Binge Free Festival of Theater. We have 35 more events that are going to be happening over the next 3 weeks. They're all free. We encourage you to come and support them. And I want to say thank you. This is something I've been doing for a long time now here at Playhouse. I've been here since 1964. I spent 2 years in Vietnam. 30 years after the fact, I had a thought. And the thought is, our humanity is our most precious resource. It seems to me to be imperative we do all we can in our lives to nurture our capacity to have that experience and share that with ourselves and those around us. How do we nurture that? Well, you came here tonight, you sat in the seat, and you endured the entire performance. That's a very special gift you do when you sit and you endure the performance. You may love it, you may hate it, you may be awed by it, you may be inspired by it. But contrary to popular opinion, theater is not a spectator event. When you sit in that seat, you walk out the door, and somehow you're going to have to deal with that experience. As I said, it doesn't matter whether you like it or not, you've got it. It took me 30 years to process Vietnam. It may take you a nanosecond, but the time that it takes for you to process that, you're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're allowing yourself to be exposed to ideas, thoughts, conditions, relationships you may never wish to entertain. And this process allows you possibly to become a little more accepting, a little more tolerant, a little more understanding, a little more empathetic, a little more human. And that is a very special gift. And I like to draw people's attention to that because it's not casual. It's very real and powerful. And that is the gift you give yourself, your friends, your family, the artists on stage, and the world at large when you sit in that seat. So I want to thank each and every one of you. Thank you. You're sitting in this theater. Last year, July 24th, the ceiling came down. The entire theater was destroyed. Taken us this long, negotiating with 2 insurance companies, the owner's insurance company, our insurance company. They fought for 9 months to figure out who's going to pay for what, and then it took them another 7 months, 8 months to do what's done. It's not completely done. The insurance did not cover everything. We're still having to finish. You see, there was artwork on the walls. I don't know if you see a picture out on the patio, you'll see what it looked like before. But you're sitting in brand new seats, brand new carpets, brand new stage. We're very happy to be here, but we're still short. So we do ask, please, as you leave, put a little something in our Sacred Playhouse basket. I will be holding the basket. It's not a guilt trip. If you don't want to donate, that's fine. No gift is too small or too large. We'll take the deed to your house or your portfolio. Thank you.
What's your show?
It's about the stories we tell and the roles that we play. I enjoyed it.
Yes, she did.
Michael, no, go ahead.
Picture.
throw the money around because I have so much of it.
Well, you're living like a millionaire.
That's right.
You know, my brother and sister-in-law met on an airplane,
Oh, they did? That's cute.
and they've been married 30 years.
Oh my God, that's adorable.
Yeah.
Were they living in the same city?
They live in Florida, Ormond Beach,
But,
Florida.
I mean, were they living in the same city?
No, she was in, outside of LA, I think, and he was in Florida.
Oh, so she lived in Florida.
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
I mean, she always missed LA. She's got relatives and friends here, but she loves my brother. I feel right at home with these empty bookcases.
Yes.